For centuries, a minority group lived under unbearable oppression and injustice across the planet. Their rights were stripped away, their voices silenced, and their identities erased. The world turned a deaf ear to their suffering until the day guilt and regret finally stirred in everyone's heart. Planet leaders gathered in a massive glass hall overlooking the great cities. Tears streamed down their faces as they looked upon their own reflection. In front of them was a blueprint for the future, a proposal to make amends for the mistakes of the past. They devised a plan to create a state-of-the-art sanctuary, a place far from hatred. It would be filled with freedom and breathtaking nature where the minorities could start anew with hope and peace. Everything was perfect, or so it seemed. The minorities arrived at this new land, where futuristic homes gleamed under the sun, trees stretched toward the sky, and rivers whispered safety. Everyone celebrated the dawn of a new chapter, hand in hand, embracing unity. As the years rolled by, children played in the streets, laughter echoed through the valleys, and life appeared to be a melody without any discordant notes. Yet beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The souls that once suffered were not healed by their past pain. Instead, they replaced sorrow with revenge. The minorities forgot the oppression they had endured, but they remembered their pain. Their eyes began to glow with a strange light, and their actions grew harsher. They were no longer victims, they had become monsters. They started to impose their rule on the planet's original inhabitants, repeating the cycles of oppression they had suffered, but now with deeper cruelty and force. Amongst them, there was a growing dissent. "Why should we live like this? We are not animals," complained a young man with blazing eyes. The minorities had shown the world their strength, but they had forgotten the true meaning of justice. The minorities, driven by vengeance, continued to expand their territory, subjugating anyone who opposed them. But the native inhabitants refused to die silently. One day, while wandering through the forest, a young woman stumbled upon a hidden cave adorned with ancient paintings. As she gazed at the vibrant colors on the walls, she realized that these weren't just pictures. They were stories of a resilient people, a testament to their strength, unity, and indomitable spirit. Inspired by her ancestors, she set out on a journey to awaken the sleeping giants, calling for unity, resistance, and freedom. Her voice echoed through the mountains and valleys, igniting sparks of rebellion in the hearts of the oppressed. She walked barefoot through the wilderness, enduring scorching heat and piercing cold, driven by an unshakable determination to free her people. Everywhere she went, she shared tales of bravery and resilience, urging everyone to join the movement. Slowly, a group of freedom fighters began to form around her, each person drawn to the cause by an unwavering sense of justice. They united not just with weapons, but with the power of art, traditions, and the values that shaped their history. Their numbers grew, and soon they became known as the green-clothed ones, symbolizing the lush landscapes they inhabited and the hope for a greener, brighter future. Meanwhile, in the heart of the minority settlement, a sense of unease was growing. Whispers of discontent filled the air, and many questioned the path their leaders had chosen. One evening, after a particularly brutal act of oppression, a young man confronted his leader. He couldn't understand why they had forgotten their own struggles. "We are no better than our oppressors now," he exclaimed, his voice shaking with emotion. The leader, however, remained resolute. "This is what we've become," he stated grimly. But amidst this turmoil, an unexpected dialogue took place between the resistance leader and the minorities leader. They met in the ruins of an old building, surrounded by the debris of a society that had crumbled under its own weight. The meeting was tense, but the resistance leader spoke first. "Are we enemies because we're different, or because we forgot how to love?" His words hung in the air, echoing the pain of generations. The minority leader looked away, unable to meet his gaze. The resistance leader continued, "I don't want to be your enemy. I want to understand why we've been locked in this cycle of violence. We both know what it's like to be oppressed, so why are we repeating the same mistakes?" The minority leader finally turned, his face etched with the scars of a troubled past. "We are not monsters," he retorted, his voice hoarse with emotion. "We are human beings who have suffered unimaginable horrors. You wouldn't understand what it's like to be treated like animals, to have your rights stripped away like they were nothing." The resistance leader nodded slowly. "I see your pain, but we can't keep living like this. This isn't the way forward. We must find another path, a path that leads us out of this darkness." The minority leader shook his head sadly. "You don't understand. We have no other path. We are driven by vengeance." "But vengeance will only lead us to more pain and suffering," the resistance leader argued. "It won't bring back what we've lost. It won't heal the wounds of the past. All it will do is deepen the divide between us." The minority leader fell silent, his gaze distant, as if he were a world away. "I remember the pain, the fear, the anger," he whispered, his voice heavy with regret. "But we have to let go of that past. If we don't, we'll become the very thing we hate." Their conversation continued late into the night, their words echoing in the desolate ruins, and as the first rays of dawn peeked over the horizon, a fragile hope flickered between them. Perhaps understanding could be the first step toward healing, the first crack in the wall of hatred that had stood for so long. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty. The green-clothed ones tightened their ranks, preparing for the inevitable clash. But the minorities, shaken by their leader's words, hesitated. Doubt crept into their hearts, and some began to question the path they were treading. The green-clothed ones launched their attack, but it wasn't a brutal assault. Instead, they fought with the skill and precision of seasoned warriors, determined to end this strife without unnecessary bloodshed. They fought not just for themselves, but for the dream of a better future, a future where differences were celebrated, not weaponized. As the battle raged, the resistance leader found himself face to face with the minority leader. Their swords clashed, each move a testament to their training and resolve, but neither of them wanted to strike a killing blow. The resistance leader, with a voice hoarse from battle, asked, "Is this what you want? To keep fighting? To keep hurting each other?" The minority leader, his face streaked with sweat and grime, replied, "I don't know anymore. What do you want me to say? We've been taught to hate, to be afraid." The resistance leader lowered his sword slightly. "Then let's change that. Let's build something new, something better. Will you help me?" The minority leader stared at him, his expression unreadable. Then slowly, ever so slowly, he lowered his own weapon. A flicker of hope ignited in the resistance leader's eyes. Could this be the beginning of something different? A turning point in their long and painful history? Amidst the siege and starvation, these green-clad heroes stood tall, igniting the flame of hope in the darkest hours, carrying the banner of freedom with unwavering courage. The arrival of the green-clothed ones marked a turning point. Their presence sparked a wave of rebellion, a symphony of courage that resonated across the land. People rose up, demanding their rights, refusing to be subdued by the oppressive forces. In the end, victory wasn't measured by strength alone, but by an open heart. As the green-clothed ones stood victorious, their leader addressed the fallen. "Today we celebrate not just our strength, but our resilience and unity. May this be a lesson for all time, a testament to the power of the human spirit." And with that, the era of fear came to an end. Light is born from the deepest darkness, and mercy is the true weapon that creates peace. The narrator closes softly.